Hello, stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Trey, and today we're going to be continuing with the Vasilisa the Beautiful and Baba Yaga the Witch diptych. And this is what we have so far. I made a one sheet with all the characters pretty much on it. Baba Yaga, Vasilisa, the three riders, two representing the sun and one representing the moon. And we have a lot to do. Today is going to be more of the witch, the house, and some foliage for the background. So let's get started. So one of the most notable things is the revision of Baba Yaga the Witch, which I wanted to change. I wanted something more menacing, more threatening, something that if you were running away from an old lady would be more epic. So I have redesigned Baba Yaga, and the concept for this is Baba Yaga, she rides in a mortar, and she has a pistol, which I think a mortar and pistol are something to grind medicines or grind leaves in to make, balms and salves and whatnot. And that's interesting. So she has a method of movement that is very unique to her. And so thinking about that, so she's in this mortar thing and she moves about. I don't know exactly how. So I'm just chalking up to maybe some kind of mystical way. So in all that, I thought, okay, she's riding this thing. And so let's make that and this whole thing a witchy, unique, and cool looking. It's part of the coolest thing of her character. And so let's make that unique to her design. And two, hair. For women, I feel like hair is an important aspect, or there is a power, a mystique to hair that is tied up with, women and femininity and all of that. So I thought, why not have it? She's an older woman, her hair is white, and have just this mass, this great mass of hair. It's, after all of these years, she just let it grow and grow and grow. And it's become this huge mass of hair. And that's part of her witch or witchy aspect. And so the hair can, say, move, and it can actually like form like hands, or if she needs to move things, she can use her hair to move things. And I kind of like that idea. And, I was thinking about, when a woman has cancer and, they have to cut off the hair, there's a loss of power. And so it kind of, reinforced this idea of hair and power of hair. And so I just took it to the nth degree. And so now she has this big old mass of hair. And she's, hunched over in this mortar. And the whole thing looks like, this white mass of hair. And she's hunched over in this mortar to look like kind of like a skull. And I thought, okay, that's an idea I can go with. And so this is the concept of Baba Yaga, the witch, in this mortar chasing after Vasilisa. And in it, for drama, I have this tree that, for some overlap to, going that she's passing this tree, but she's behind it. And she's at, what I'm drawing here is this hand, which is her hair, actually pushing over this tree as she's passing it. And I thought, okay, this is something. This is the drama I want. This is this is exactly that kind of heightened tension that I wanted for my illustration. So it's a divergency, but I like it. And so my artistic, I'm just gonna run with it. Just gonna run with this whole floating Baba Yaga skull-like image. And so this is the revised concept for Baba Yaga. Now, along with Baba Yaga the witch, one of her most distinctive characteristics is her very unusual chicken-legged house. I'd really want to know how that came about, but I think it's odd, and I love it that it's that odd. A chicken-legged house. So with the chicken-legged house, I was thinking a dilapidated, old, I wouldn't say crumbling, but it's definitely not new. Very unique, maybe a little mystical and magical. The roof is, tattered. Maybe, how you've seen those houses, like in, I don't know if it's Ireland or some parts of Europe where like there's grass growing on the roof, just like greenery just growing from the roof. I think in some spots I might do some of that. Tiles coming off, tiles missing, old beams. So like no straight lines on this house. Everything's a bit worn, a bit beaten. Old paint chipping off, faded. But it's still a living, I don't know if it's living, I'd say it's kind of living, chicken house. It's a great idea. I love it that it's unusual. And this is, it's kind of a treat design, it's because it's so very unusual. But also, the chicken-legged house has a fence, and the fence posts have skulls on them. Now, I'm not sure if it's all the posts or the main posts, so I have some flexibility with that. But we have a design that we have used for Vasilisa, so we'll make a few more of those. And the skull fence post is unique in that in the end, it's what burns Vasilisa's stepmother and maybe stepsister to ash just by looking at them. And I love that part of the story. That's it's yeah, again, unusual, and I think that's why I like this story. Just the unusualness of it. It doesn't there's just unique aspects that I really, really dig. So for these skulls, I'm thinking, since maybe they have different personalities, maybe. When you're designing something, I'm always thinking of, okay, how do I make this design more interesting? Maybe not as, the sameness. how can I give it a little bit more personality that could help the illustration or the storytelling within the illustration. And so I'm thinking about this, where one skull might be the serious skull, another skull might be a, I don't know, more jovial skull. One skull might be an angry skull. I don't know. It's just ideas, just thoughts that you can have when you're designing something. How can you set one thing apart from another thing, even if they're the same thing? And so maybe like the Three Stooges, one's smart, one's the more of a leader, one's an angry. Whatever you can think of to help the illustration be a better illustration, do it. Try it out, because you never know. If it's fun for you, then it should be fun for the viewer. So why not just try it? So we have the concerned. I don't know. So in this process, we're using Russian lacquer as a basis for the art style. And now that we're doing the background images, the foliage, I try to find about 3 examples, different ones on different days, that I can work on for the trees and bushes and all of that. And this is a nice tree. And see, it's not realistic, but I love the coloration. And there's different types of trees rendered in different ways. But they're very colorful. I like that. Oh, look at that house. That's a nice house. It's got the beams. Yes. But anyways, I try to find 3 examples. I like these trees. It's nice. So yeah, they're not realistic, but they're nicely rendered, very colorful, and there's stylization, but you can tell it's a tree. So that's always good. So now what I do is I have some bases, right? And I do these little rough trees, and then I put them on one sheet, print it out. Well, I fade it back in Photoshop, and then print it out and do more detailing on top. And I have multiple pages of just these random doodles of fairly stylized trees. So now that we have all of that, the reference, looked at some trees, but these are the 2 main participating trees. One, the main tree, is going to divide the diptych, and the second is a claw tree, I call it. But the main tree is going to divide the two diptychs, the 2 paintings. And I'm thinking that one side is going to be more the characteristics of each character. So on Baba Yaga side, it's going to be more wintry. And on the Vasilisa side, it's going to feel more like spring. And that's, the idea. And this main tree is going to be a part of the 2 separate images. And I have a loose outline of the tree, faded back, printed out on this one sheet. And I'm now drawing on top of that. So once I have the main tree, and I state that I'm fairly comfortable with, now we move on to the claw tree. And the claw tree it's pretty cool. So Vasilisa has this doll, and she feeds the doll. The doll comes to life and tells her what to do to escape Baba Yaga's house. So in the Baba Yaga part of the diptych, she's touching a tree and actually pushing it over. But I also want this tree to look like it's clawing at Vasilisa's dress and the little doll as a sort of way of uniting the two images in just some small way. And plus, I think it's kind of cool because, you know, at night trees can look like monstrous things, and there's something slightly scary about forests and just trees at night because they're just looming dark shapes. And I want to play that up for this part of the diptych because while it is more springtime on her side, because I believe Vasilisa is in some ways associated with the sun, but it's myths, you know, myths, legends, folklores, and whatnot. So they can take on different meanings. But on her side, it's kind of nighttime because Mr. Midnight's riding by her. So in that darkness, you know, you can see things. And maybe some of Baba Yaga's magic is in this forest, and things can take shape and partially claw at you. So I want the limbs to look more like claws and fingers. I think it's interesting. So now that we have our two main trees, we're going to end this with just some random drawings of foliage, bushes, trees, leaves, flowers, whatever I can think of. So I'm going through the book and I'm looking at whatever I find interesting, even if it's like designs that could make cool imagery of like a leafy texture or leafy shape, flowers. And since Vasilisa is going to have more of a spring side, I can have live trees or trees with leaves, berries, bushes, and all of that on her side, even though it'll be fairly dark on her side. And then on Baba Yaga's side, it's going to be more snowy. So maybe bare trees without more trees without leaves, more pine trees, because pines are better able to withstand the cold. But all these ideas I take and I just draw whatever I can think of at this point. And it's kind of a fun exercise. You know, I put on some music in the background and I'm just looking through a book, a cool book of art, and just drawing whatever might make a cool object for the tree. I mean, for the diptych. So for example, I have, I'm thinking of flowers, and they do a lot of flower motifs in Russian lacquer, and I'm thinking of, okay, how many ways can I do a flower? So I can have, you know, a main center and then 6 dots around it, and I can even change the petals to maybe more of a triangle shape, or even some square shapes, or whatever I can think of to make varieties of different types of flowers. And it's like a cool exercise in design, you know, using motifs and patterns for dresses, whatever patterns that you see that they're wearing, or you can take that and make that a design or something like that for other things. Like doing diamond shapes square shapes, circle shapes, and see if those can make interesting trees and bush designs. So for this one, I have these little diamonds, and diamonds of various sizes making up leaf patterns within a leaf pattern. So I'll try anything just to make a cool design, something that'll be part of the image but maybe not so well seen. And it's just a cool exercise in design and having some fun drawing. And after all of that, I have these interesting trees, different trees, different tree shapes, some more designy than others. Grasses, star shapes, cloud shapes, water shapes, flowers, some earth textures. Yeah, anything that I could think of, until I try to exhaust all of my ideas. And you just keep going until you can't anymore, or you run out of time. But it's fun, and it's a cool exercise to do. And these are just the pages that I've done so far. And I think it'll, I think it's good. And now the chopping it up, scan it again, chop it up, and then plug things in to where it's going to be a lot of layers. So trying things on different layers, and I can move them, shift them, maybe something's in front of something else, or something's behind something else. And I do that until I'm satisfied, and whatever I think makes a cool image, and we'll go from there. But we have the trees and bushes and the characters, and now we can plug it all in. I think it came out pretty good so far. I still have to put it all together. But individual stuff still needs work, but it's coming along. Let's zoom in some of this strange stories are kind of my favorite. And this is a strange one. And I really like it. So Baba Yaga and her witch hair. Yeah. This is a really fun illustration that I had been just stalled out on. Sometimes, I don't know if it's a mental thing with other artists where you want to do it, but you're kind of, something stopping you from doing it, and you just let it sit there for a while. And you're like, you know what? Just got to do it. And here I am, actually making some progress. So that was part 5 of Vasilisa Baba Yaga. And next week, from chapter 6, we will put it all together. At least make a mock-up of what, a better mock-up of what could be all together now. So, thank you for joining me on this part 5 of Vasilisa Baba Yaga. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care, keep shining, and power to the creators. Bye-bye.